understand what it's like. I'm very different too.
Oof. Some black coffee.
I've never found it hard to hack most people. If you listen to them, watch them, their vulnerabilities are like a neon sign screwed into their heads. Sometimes I dream of saving the world, saving everyone from the invisible hand, one that brands us with an employee badge, the one that forces us to work for them, the one that controls us every day without us knowing it. There's a saying, the devil's at his strongest while we're looking the other way, like a program running in the background silently, while we're busy doing other shit.
Opposite side, you push up, it'll get me in. I'll get to 12 position.
This whole time, I thought
away
changing
with
the world
minimal
was
loss,
something
if
you
not a
did,
profit.
an act you performed,
Nonetheless, let's keep going with the
something you
analysis
fought
of the
for.
selling position today.
I don't know
And
if
see where
that's
we end
true
up
anymore.
by the end of the day.
What if changing the world is just
With that
about
being
being
said,
here?
I'm gonna get back to studying, get a
By
little bit of
showing
coffee
up,
in me if you're
no
drinking
matter
coffee
how
in the
many
morning.
times we get told we
Cheers.
don't belong.
If you're
By
making money
staying
today,
true even when we're
cheers.
shamed into being false. By believing in ourselves even when we're told we're too different. And if we all held on to that, if we refused to budge and fall in line, if we stood our ground for long enough, just maybe, the world can't help but change around us.
March 14th, 2077. It's been half a century since the scavengers destroyed our moon. We won the war, but lost the planet. Till our tour is complete, Vika and I do our job. The survival of humanity depends on it. I can't shake the feeling that Earth, in spite of all that's happened, Earth is still my home.
pressure at the area that I got in. So expect to see this get to 26, 640, at least test the low, market open. Just getting some laps in. Gotta get that body moving after sitting for like 3 hours this morning. Shake off that caffeine that I just drank. Break. Let's get back to work. If you're procrastinating on something, get it done. I feel like thinking about it is the hardest part. Starting is the hardest part, actually. Let's get started. It's like a machine. Just keep going. Here we go. 618. What a move. What a move. Beautiful. There you go. We're on 1700 or 1500 profit for the day. 625. Look, it would have hit it anyways. We're at 627. What a sharp shot down. That was interesting. goal was to trade it down to 26,625. I did want to trade it really to the previous lows where it held. For example, these areas here. And let me put it back in the 30-minute time frame. Yeah, so initially the goal was to sell it down and get out at this area at 26,620 because we have reached that area before previously and bounced off. It was an area of support. So I expected the chart to at least reach that area, but to be safe, I usually go 5 points higher. So that's why I said if all these points bounced up at 26,620, 5 points above that to give me some room for earlier profit would be 26,625. Clearly we hit that. We're at 26,602. I got out at 26,618 on that big push down. What I'm expecting now, I'm not gonna trade anymore. I'm done for the day. But what I'm expecting now is to bounce off 26,600 up to retest at least a 30% to 50% retracement. This is the area of support, and it's been a support for 3 or 4 days now. Not more like 2 days. It's been an area of support for 2 days, but this is what we're seeing. Get that right here. So that's an area that we're looking at. Let's get this over. Bring it down. So that's one area, and this is another area right here. Yeah. So essentially, this is what I'm looking at now. This is a huge area of support. This yellow box. I'm expecting a bounce back up, 30%, maybe 50% retracement before we continue a sell-off. And this is another area of interest here. This one is 26,550. It's held pretty well before, and it's actually bounced off after the gap down on Monday. It touched that low of 26,536, and then it bounced up all the way up to 26,800, taking it up to highs of this morning's pre-market of 26,900. So that's a pretty significant jump, and then I'm expecting a lot of reaction here. And if it breaks past this, the 26,560 to 26,538 range, I am expecting a sell-off down to 26,500 or 26,450. So we're just moving down in increments. Like I said, I'm done trading for today. I am finishing up some assignment that I'm doing, and then I'm about to get some food. It's been a good day. Hope everyone's having a great day. A blessed one. Alright, back to the music. Actually, forgot to mention, Tesla is reporting earnings today. Let's see. Who is reporting earnings today? a lot of company reporting today. Shit. Trying to see any companies that would make a difference. Significant difference. Interesting. RTX. 3M. Northrop Grumman. I think it's Northrop Grumman. Their report. That's a big one too. GE. Okay, here we go. So for Tuesday, the biggest companies reporting: Northrop Grumman, we got Intuitive, Aerospace, United, Capital One, RTX, 3M, EQT. So tomorrow is going to be an interesting day. Boeing is reporting earnings, which I think is going to be above. They're going to report above earnings. Tesla, I think they're going to botch these earnings. I think it's going to be a bad earnings call for them. This is just my speculation, of course, but Tesla has been reducing their expected profit. I think they even revised it for this quarter, and they revised it on to down. That was a downward revision, so they expected to make less. And they said they were going to make X amount of money, and then they revised it, and it was actually they're going to make less now. So that's not really a good sign. That lets they know more about what's going on in their operation. So kind of gives you some expectation that it's probably not going to be a good one. We got IBM, AT&T. I think AT&T will be a good one. For the most part, though, Tesla is included in the Magnificent Seven top companies that make up. If there's something bad going on with the Magnificent Seven, then the Nasdaq sells off. The futures market, at least. So if I go to Finviz, this is another website that I do like to look at, and we're looking at the chart screens. Let me see. Hold on. I think it's the maps that we need to look at. Oh, no. There we go. So we look at the Nasdaq 100. There we go. So this is the reason you're seeing this movement here. So the downside. Here we go. Tested 600, and it's probably going to do a 30% and 50% retracement. But yeah, the reason you're seeing all this sell-off happen from the morning high of 26,893. The market opened at 26,883, and now we sold off quite a huge amount here, 200 points almost, about 280. It's because of this map here that you see. Nvidia is down on the day, Microsoft is up on the day, Apple is down on the day, almost 3%. I gotta check that chart out. Google is down on the day, another big ass company. Amazon is up. But as you can see, these big companies, Tesla is down 1.72. Earnings is tomorrow, which I think they're going to be down even further. And even if I looked at the charts that they had, let me see here. All right, let me get out of here. Boom, boom. Okay, I don't care about all that. So if we look at Tesla, their day today has been Tuesday. Let me zoom in here. So here we are. Here's Tesla. Opened up. So this Monday, it almost got to the all-time highs for the year, at least at 409. Sold off, retested the area, didn't make it quite up there, and it sold off. This is all happening Monday this week. Sold off all the way down, got to this area here, area of support. Buyers stepped in. As you can see, it gapped up as well. On Friday, it gapped up. So it retested the gap. Usually what you'll see with these gaps is it comes back like a magnet. It'll test it almost to what it used to be before it gapped up. So it used to be, it closed off at 388. 390. It went up to a high of 390, closed at 388, and then Friday it opens up, gaps up to 391, and it shoots up higher, right? So as the days go on, you'll see it retest that area like a magnet, comes back down. As you can see, 388 was the lowest point right here. That's where it tested, 388, bounced back up. It tested the high of the open, 393. So when the market opened on Friday, Tesla opened at 393, gapped up from 388 it closed at. And then right here, as the days went on Monday, it retested at 393. It looks like sellers were in control. The bear market's in, sold off. And what we're seeing today, all the Tuesdays, Tesla selling off. So I'm expecting Tesla to tomorrow, when reports get earnings get announced, to, if it's bad, to retest 383, 382, possibly even further, depending how bad it is. And if it's really bad, then I could see it come back down to 367, which will have a big impact on the Nasdaq market. I'll be taking sell positions. It'll be bearish. I want to see Apple actually. Apple. They look like they're down 3% today. So here we go. Apple opened at a price of 272. And it's selling off. We're currently at 266 with the low of 265. Let's see here, 265.40 low of the day. Same thing happened Friday, and I believe it's when Trump announced that the Strait of Hormuz, that the strait was open for business, and then on Saturday, Iran was like, fuck that shit, it's not open, everybody. And then fucking the U.S. took that Iran ship. They overtook it with the helicopters. But yeah, that explains the gap up on Friday. And like I said before, these stocks, not that it happens every single time, but they have this tendency of when they gap up this way, because this was what was fair for the company on Thursday, right? I mean, if we look at the whole week prior, Monday started at 259, went to a low of 257. So for the week of last week, Monday through Friday, 257 was the low, 267 was the high. So for all of last week, the fair value was between 257 267. Trump announces that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open, and of course the markets rally. And usually with emotional news like that, it's not going to hold. It's an emotional rally. And then once people get out of their emotions and they realize that the war still hasn't changed and it probably won't change, then logic and reality starts setting in. So we're going to go back to the area of 267 257. That's what I'm thinking. That's my analysis, at least. And so we'll see what happens then. And you combine that with the fact that the gapped up and it usually tends to retest the opening or close of the previous candle before the gap up. 263. We're at 266 right now, 267. So I'm expecting this to retrace at least to 260 and then hold this range for a little bit before it decides to either bounce back up or shoot down even further. But with that being said, that's bearish on Apple. So that's 2 big companies out of 7 that are probably going to be red, which gives me more confidence that the market is going to be selling off. Let's see what else we got here. Google is down, Amazon is up, Microsoft is up. Let's go take a look at the Microsoft MSFT. Let's see what we're looking at, Microsoft. And this doesn't look too promising. This is the huge jump, 372 to 426. That is quite a jump. We got earnings on Thursday for April. So I'm curious to see what Microsoft, I'm going to do some research on Microsoft, see what they're expecting on their earnings call. They were trading at this is January, start of the year, huge gap down. We're talking a 30-point gap down. And we're testing that area right here. So we're approaching an area of interest at 440, 442, 440 to 442. So if Microsoft can pull up and we can get it to 431, I want to see what it's going to do there. I want to see what kind of candlestick formation or patterns that we're going to see, what the price action is telling us, plus the news that's coming on Thursday with their earnings being reported. I want to see what's going to happen there. And if the earnings are not looking good, then I'm most likely going to go with the fact that this is going to sell off as well. 417 to possibly retest the gap low down here at 394. 400 to 394. Yeah, 400 to 394. You can see that all this area right here, oh, this whole area is basically where it's been trading at for about 2 weeks. From actually more than that, from February 4th to March. So about a month. This is about the fair value of the stock. So I'm expecting a pullback down there if the earnings reported are not as good. And if they are good, then we're gonna retest the 438, possibly break through and retest highs of 480. Now that's very optimistic, of course. 460 seems like we had a gap down here as well. 460 would be more realistic if it does have a rally because of good earnings. Let's see here. Microsoft Azure's revenue rose about 40%. See, that's actually really good. Morgan Stanley says growth is limited by GPU supply, so constraining Microsoft's capacity to serve demand for compute-heavy cloud workloads. Microsoft climbed 90%. Okay, Microsoft plans fiscal 2026 capex up 31% as it remains a major contributor to an estimated combined tech capex of up to 674 billion across big peers. Fiscal year ends in June, so they expect very good expectations for Microsoft. I can see this is actually really good. The revenue from Azure. I can't expect this to by June be higher, especially if we get better news with the Iran conflict and the Strait of Hormuz. Microsoft would be something that would be going up. I don't really trade Microsoft, but I like to see what it's doing because I trade the Nasdaq 100, and that's heavily affected by whatever the top 7 companies are doing or what's going on with them. So that's going on with Microsoft. We have, let's see here, Nvidia. Let's go check out Nvidia. Nvidia, we see the same thing with Microsoft. Huge rally to the upside, and it's starting to slow down. If I pulled up the RSI divergence, yep, there's an RSI divergence. Basically means that the volume versus the price action are not combining, or the buyers and the sellers versus the price action, and it's not aligning. There is a conflict of interest there. I don't even think conflict of interest is the right word, but there is a discrepancy there to where it's just not aligning. And so you're starting to see the price action push up higher, struggling to push up higher. So it lets you know that buyers are getting out, taking profit, and sellers are, it's going to rebalance, it's going to consolidate here. Buyers and sellers are going to decide whether is Nvidia really worth $200, or is it worth more, is it worth less, you know. And I don't know, I don't fucking know. I don't really trade this center. They call that no man's land. I usually trade once the stock has decided to go above, then you kind of have an indication that the buyers won. But it's got to be a significant buy up. It can't just be like a small little candle up, because then that's a fake out. So we just gotta wait here. This lets me know though that the buyers are getting exhausted. Sellers might be stepping in soon. And if we zoom out, this has been an area. Once it reaches this area, there's either a huge sell-off, or we get to this area right here and either gaps up, or it's used as an area of support or resistance. So that's going to be 203 to 207. 203 to 207 would be an interesting area, and we're approaching that. Depending on, I mean, how Nvidia, they're down on the day today. If it can hold 198, then it can push higher. This is looking like it's ascending. However, if it can't hold 198 and it breaks down lower, then I'm actually going to be looking for support at 195, a little consolidation here before it shoots back down to retest the previous low of 187. All of which would coincide with my bearish analysis. There we go. Check this out. And I told you it was going to bounce back up. Let me get rid of that. Cancel the order. And let's see how much it retraced from what I said. So we'll go from right here to right here. Yep, just about a 50% retracement. If I can actually get it aligned perfectly though, right there. 50% retracement. Let me get this pushed up to about right here. Just about 47, 50% retracement. Maybe it'll do a 61. I was thinking 30 to 50% retracement after it reached 26,600, but 26.5, 26.61 maybe. I don't know why I'm saying 25. 60, what I mean to say is 50% retracement or 0.618, 61.8% retracement. If it rejects 50%, then we are probably going to sell off even further and retest those areas that we spoke about earlier. What else do we got here? Google. Let's go check out what Google's doing. Did I spell that right? Yeah, Google. Boom. Google is not having a good day today either, but as you can see, same thing. It almost looks identical to the Microsoft chart that we were looking at. Huge gap up, held this area, didn't retest. So when it gapped up on Friday, let me see, where's Friday at? No, Friday's over here. Yeah, no, Google didn't really get affected on Friday. Wednesday news. I'm not sure what happened here. I'm sure it was like some Trump tweet, something regarding the war. Bounced up. Let's see what they got. Alphabet Google seen as the AI leader. AI-related depreciation could reach 35% of net income by 2028 versus 17% 5-year average. Whoa. Basically saying AI is not as profitable as they thought. Google is negotiating with Marvel to co-develop 2 AI chips, a memory processing unit to pair with TPUs and a TPU for inference. Designs may finalize next year with test production to follow. Google faced a U.S. lawsuit alleging overcharging Canadian users for Android app and Play purchases. A federal judge dismissed the case, ruling U.S. antitrust laws do not apply to Canadian claims. Damn, they said fuck you, Canada. Which is good for Google though. That means they're not going to take a hit. We have Google is reporting earnings on Thursday as well. Let's see the earnings whisper Thursday. I wonder why they don't have it on here. Yeah, they don't have it listed on there, which is interesting. Apple is reporting on the 30th. I'm gonna check Google, Amazon, and Meta, Facebook, and then we're done. What I was saying here, sell off. If it can hold the 330, 331 range, then I can see this retesting 341, possibly higher depending on earnings. But with just gonna have to wait and see if it breaks below this here and earnings don't come out good. Then I'm expecting a sell off and retracement to that. Could be 300. Can it be down 10% in a few days? Possibly, depending on the earnings. Let's see. Tesla. Oh, no. What am I doing? I already did Tesla. Let's do Meta. Meta. Very similar to Microsoft again. Huge rally up. Consolidation. Probably RSI divergence. Yep. And at an area of interest. Okay, so Meta reached this area before when it reached that area up here. So this is a price range of 688, 690. So once we got here at 683, 688, 690. We had a little bit of consolidation here before it shot back down. It hasn't retested that area before, so we've kind of been underneath that area. We're holding it. It held 687 to 681, 683, and 681 is, I can't get it. 681 seems to be a point of interest. If we can get above 681, then I can see this going higher. If it stays below 681, then this is probably getting that RSI divergence. And we got earnings on, when is this? The 29th. So that's next week. Just about next week. So we'll be looking at that next week. Followed by, did I say Amazon? Did we do that already? I need to eat some food. I'm hungry. Amazon looking quite the same. Did we hit Amazon? Maybe we didn't, but in case we didn't, it's looking like the Microsoft stock and Apple and Tesla and Google are all reaching RSI divergence. That means a huge push up and now consolidation here. Um, I am seeing it's holding higher versus it holding down here. Like Meta was down here. You saw this big move, and you saw it consolidating on the lower end. This is actually going up. Amazon's going up, and it's consolidating on the higher end. And I like to just look at it as a 50% kind of thing. Let's see here. Boom, down to the low of. See that. So as long as it's holding above the 0.5, this is looking more bullish than anything. But with the RSI divergence, it is indicating that the buyers are getting weaker. They're probably getting profits in. I can see this pulling back down to 248. And depending on their earnings, which, you know, Amazon usually beats earnings, but we'll see what the earnings say. And I can see this selling back down at least 50%. Because I mean, think about it this way: if you bought down here, and you managed to hold on all this for like since April 6th, so 15 days ago, about 2 weeks ago, you managed to hold on for 2 weeks, and you start seeing the chart do this, right? You're up, oh my God, you know, I got a lot of money, I'm up on money, great, and then out of nowhere you see it shoot down to almost $10, so about 5%. About 2.5%. You see it sell off 2.5%. Your profits are diminishing. At this point, a lot of people would get scared, especially if you're in, you know, a lot of people, you're in with big money, or even if you're not, maybe if it's big money to you, but if you're in for a substantial amount of money, you see it diminish about 10% of your profits on that pullback, maybe 15%. That would be a red flag for most people to be like, okay, you know what, I'm up, let's get out. Let's take that profit. And that's what you see here. So if that does happen, bad earnings, people start taking profit, and the stock starts dipping, starts tanking, then people are going to get scared. They're going to start. Some people hold on to it, but once it starts selling off pretty bad, that's when people start getting scared and selling, and that's what starts a sell-off, and that's when I can expect it to retest 6.618 level, which is, we got consolidation right here, even to the 0.50, so that's a 50% retracement, 40 to 50% retracement to the downside. And if you can catch the pattern that I've been saying, is most of these Majestic 7, the biggest companies, they're all on a huge run up, and they're consolidating with RSI divergence. So it looks like at a point where people will be taking profit and selling their stock. And if the earnings is bad, that's only adding fuel to the fire. So I want to say about five out of the 7 look like they're going to sell off here in the next 2 weeks. And if there's any news regarding the Strait of Hormuz and it gets worse, then you can guarantee it's going to sell off. But nothing's guaranteed in trading, so that's something to keep in mind. For right now, I am more bullish than bearish on Amazon, just because it's holding above the 50% in this area here. And by area, I'm talking about this. This area. That was kind of annoying. Boom. Okay. So this is the area I'm talking about. And as long as it's holding above 50%, then I'm more bullish. I'm more bullishly inclined, I should say. Now we just got to add the fundamentals of it, and that's we'll see when earnings comes out. What did we read this? Amazon expands AI tie-up with Anthropic. 5 billion up front, up to 25 billion total. Anthropic pledges 100 billion AWS spend. Secures up to 5 GW training capacity. Amazon stock rose after hours. Okay, that's pretty important. Excuse me. Amazon faces near-term profit pressure from higher AI and cloud infrastructure spending. But that's not really a bad thing, though. The profit pressure. It doesn't really mean that it's bad for Amazon if they're facing profit pressure, because they're investing back into their company. They're spending more money, so there's less profit, but the spending isn't like dumb spending. It's to make the company better for cloud infrastructure, AI infrastructure. Earlier cost cuts and layoffs aim to shore up profit. That's fucked up profitability amid rising AI-driven cloud. So basically, Jeff Bezos said we're gonna fucking fire people to look better on paper. Not fire, but lay off. Amazon stock rose 2.8% pre-market after analysis said an initial investment could add up to 1.3 billion to AWS quarter one revenue. So essentially, it's been looking good. So depending on I guess on the earnings, are expected less profitability just because they invested into Anthropic. But the thing is that they're playing this. It's like the AI bubble that everybody talks about. Is that Amazon pays Anthropic up to 25 billion for their services, but then Anthropic pledges 100 billion into Amazon for using AWS. I think it's Amazon. I forget what it stands for, but essentially on paper, Anthropic made $25 billion, which looks good on them, but they're going to spend 100 billion on Amazon, and so Amazon is investing 25 billion, but they're getting in revenue 100 billion with that pledge that Anthropic said. So it's just these inflated numbers to make them look more profitable than not. And I could say Amazon is profitable because they got their services. You know, they got obviously Amazon and a bunch of other shit. But Anthropic, on the other hand, you don't really know how profitable they are because these are this fake little numbers game that they're playing. With that being said, we're gonna see what Amazon does and what the markets tell us tomorrow. We'll be on this. We're gonna hop off, go get some lunch. If you watch the stream, thank you, and until next time, adios.